Hi everyone. Sorry, I was checking. Wait, hold on. I was checking my phone to see because I'm trying to look at the chat on my phone, and that way, I won't be looking up because my monitor's way over there. My monitor's way over there. I had to put my monitor way on that side because my drawing is taking up all my space. It's taking up the whole entire space here. So that's how it is. I can hear myself up there. I'm gonna shut off the volume here. Hold on. There you go. So turning off that volume there. So I hope everyone is doing well here today. Thank you everyone for joining in today. Let me just quickly see how we are doing here. Okay. So just give me a second here, guys. There we go. Just little technical things going on here. And yeah, all right. Okay, let me say hi to all you guys in the chat. I'm always happy, guys. I'm always happy. Just saying hi to all of you guys here on the chat here. George and XL Cabra, XL Cabra, Mike Guns, Sereni, welcome back. Alex, how you doing? Keeman, welcome. Willie, Seth, Tarani, how you doing? Ulysses, welcome back, my friend. Alex, Tango, Seizure Art, welcome. I can't read your name, but you say I could smile, so thank you. You're gonna have to teach me how to say your name, my friend. Okay. My Guns, I'm always happy. I'm always happy. So welcome everybody. Welcome to this episode of Ask the Artist. So I'm gonna be streaming for maybe about an hour and a half. So this is your chance to talk to me. Okay, so it's your chance. This is probably the best time to ask me any question that you would like. And while I'm answering questions, I'm gonna go ahead and draw this Jabba the Hutt piece here that will go with my Return of the Jedi. My Return of the Jedi piece. So let me, while I'm getting that set up, let me just get my reference going here. Get my reference going for the Jabba the Hutt here. So I'm actually gonna already go ahead and start drawing. So let me just get in here. If you don't know what this is here, this is if you could see that is Carrie Fisher's chin right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw this Jabba the Hutt, and of course, as you guys know, I'm gonna try to darken. I'm not even sure if you could see this blue line at this point, but yeah. So let's get to the chat. I'm just saying hi to everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome, and thank you for spending a few moments with me. As of right now, it's around 11 o'clock in the morning, my time, and I apologize to everyone who's in the Western time zone, because that would mean it's either really early morning or it's mid-afternoon. I know some of you guys have to work, so I apologize. I can't do evening streams anymore. It's more because of the schedule and me deciding to go back to the mornings, which actually worked out really well for me when I was doing these kind of murals before. So that's why I decided to do that, just because I found I'm more effective doing that than staying up late nights. But just seeing the chat here while I draw a nostril. Drawing the nostril here. Just saying hi quickly. I'm just going to go back here. Let's see here. So I said Seth. I said hi to you guys. Tango. Did I say hi to you, Tango? All right. Right on. CJ Art says it's 3 a.m. in Australia. George is sick, my friend. You need to lie down. Get some rest. Marios is here. How you doing? Alex, hi. Darius, hi. Oiva, hi. How you doing? Zoltan, welcome. Keeman says it's been a minute since I've seen you live stream. Okay, there you go. Are you sure that was me? Because I wasn't on for a while. Cosma, how you doing? Yinko, hi. Marielle, how you doing? Alejandro, hi. Mike Guns has a question, so I'm just going to say hi to a few more people before I get to the questions. CG Channeled, welcome. Yeah. Unka bunka solo. Ho ho ho. There you go. Um, let's see here. Alex, 3 a.m. for seizure. Ulysses has to go to class soon, but that's okay. Why don't you get your question in early, Ulysses? And I'm glad, by the way, Ulysses won the, was that the 20,000 subscriber contest again? And he received the art, so I'm happy that Ulysses got it safe and sound. Like, you never know whenever you send art if Customs was going to get a hold of it or anything. You never know sometimes, right? My buddy PJ's here. How you doing, buddy? By the way, PJ wanted to interview me. PJ, I'm so sorry I haven't gotten back to you yet. If we do an interview, it would probably have to be like a Thursday morning. Okay, Thursday morning. Probably not this week. Maybe next week, buddy. Okay, try to message me again. I'll get back to you. I promise, man. I'm sorry I haven't been replying back to you, buddy. Okay? Be pricey. How you doing? Mario's again. All right. So Leo YT, I assume that's YouTuber. How you doing? Comics drawer. Hi. How you doing? So, I'm at the point right now where, my audience, it's you guys, and I appreciate all of you guys on the stream. Like, I don't have the millions yet. Maybe one day yet. So the stream is reasonable, so I can actually read all of your comments. So which I think is fantastic. So I think it's great. So, right on. Joseph's here just for a moment to say hi. Hi, Joseph. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. So yeah. So why don't we get to the questions right now? So again, this is your time to ask me anything that's on your mind, pretty much, and I will give you my honest opinions on everything. Let's keep it art related for the most part, okay? If you know what I'm saying, let's keep it art related, okay? So art career wise related, I'm more than happy to answer any of those type of questions for you, okay? So in the meantime, let me get the main camera here going, because of course I'm recording this for my Ultimate Star Wars piece here. And we'll see. Like, I am going to be drawing Leia here. Slave Leia here. Yeah, and you might notice that, like, she's in the piece. Of course, she has to be in the piece. But, I could have made Slave Leia, because it's Return of the Jedi, I could have made her the focal point of the piece. But for me, I felt it's a little too cheesecakey to do something like that. Of course, she has to be there. She's an integral part of the, of Return of the Jedi. But she's not going to be as prominent. I know a lot of people, when they do a Return of the Jedi piece, they do, they make Slave Leia like this big, huge thing. But, out of respect, of course, for Carrie Fisher, and of course she she's so strong in this movie, not, just at the beginning, but at the end. So I'm going to have her here. I'm going to have her choking out Jabba and killing him later on. So, that's my plan right now. So she's actually going to be here. We'll see if I get to drawing her. But I think I'm going to try to get a more finished Jabba the Hutt done first. And we'll see if there's time during the stream to actually do a Leia. But my focus is Jabba here, drawing Jabba. So be a lot of fun. And also in drawing Jabba, I want to make sure that he feels like an alien. If that makes sense, because it's very easy to make him, like, especially with all the reference I'm looking at, it'll be very easy to have him feel like a puppet. So I want him to feel like alien-y, like a real alien, like a real living creature, real living disgusting looking creature. So that is the what's it called? That is the goal. Okay, so while I'm blue lining here, why don't I go ahead and ask the first question? Again, thank you, all of you, for joining me for the next... I'll be here for about an hour and a half. So if you got something to do, if you want to come back, and the way I'm going to do this, I'm just going to look down, and if there's a question I think that everyone can benefit from, I will go ahead and answer that. So if I'm answering a question, you might be better off waiting a little bit till I'm closer to finishing answering, mainly because I'm probably not going to be looking down at your questions. So if you're shooting out questions while I'm answering a question, most likely I probably won't get to your question. Okay, I'll probably look down and just scroll a tiny bit just to make sure I'm getting a question that would probably benefit everybody. Okay, as opposed to a specific question. So we're gonna do it that way. Okay, so I'm gonna look down right now and gonna start going for looking at some questions here. By the way, thank you all of you guys for all of the great questions. Okay, here's an easy one. Let's start off with easy ones. From Seizure Art asks, "What cameras are you using?" I have the camera here. It's a cheaper camera. It's a Logitech C920. Okay, I guess it's not that cheap. I got mine for, it was on sale at Best Buy. It was on sale. I believe it was a Black Friday sale. I got them for $80 each. So I got two of them. So the one that's looking down right now and the one that's recording my face, these are Logitech C920s. This is what I use for all my live streams. My actual recording camera here, this is a Canon T5. A Canon T5. I got the T5 when I should have got the T5i. Because the T5i, you could install Magic Jack and then do like time-lapse videos. But this one doesn't do that. You can't install Magic Jack, so it's harder to do time-lapse videos. So it's pretty much shooting straight video. But for this one, I actually wanted to shoot straight video. That's why I'm still using it. I did eventually get a T5i, and that's actually over here on the side here. So I have a T5 and a T5i, which I do pretty much on my recording. And for my audio, you guys remember my very first live streams, I was trying to go off the audio off the Logitech C920, and oh man, was that an epic fail. You couldn't hear me at all. It was all staticky. Oh, it was horrible. So I ended up getting a blue snowball. I just got this recently because it was on sale. I think that was for Boxing Day here in Canada. That's the day after Christmas, Boxing Day. I got this for about $50, I believe. I should have got the Yeti. The Yeti was about 120. Maybe I should have splurged a little bit, but I thought I could use the blue snowball. And for the most part, it's been working out really well, the blue snowball. I'm enjoying that. So that's my recording equipment as of now. Just to complete the circle, I edit everything in Adobe Premiere, so I use all Adobe products. I'm not sponsored, but Jazza is. Maybe one day if I get up there, I'll be sponsored. I'd love to be sponsored by Adobe one of these days. But for the most part, I do have the Creative Cloud, so everything is all legal here. Everything's all on the up and up, okay? And because I'm a teacher, I actually get a discount on that. So that's all well and good. Okay, so that's my equipment. Thank you so much for the question here, okay? So I'm going to go down here. And actually, even before I do that, I think I will actually go ahead and start inking this guy, just so we don't waste any time. But let me go and ask another question here. I'm going to go down here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. George Foundus says, have you ever had, this is a great question, have you ever had face an art theft, especially during your starting days as an artist? Now, I'm assuming you are talking about someone who sees your art online and then either tries to pass it off as their own, or copies it and then, tries to take the credit for that art, as opposed to someone like actually physically stealing your art. And I'd like to say, well, I don't like to say, but it happened. Both have happened to me. I've had people actually steal my art, and I've actually had people, actually physically steal my art. Okay, so let me get to that in a second here while I grab an ink pen. Hold on here. So, I'm going to go ahead and start with the eyes, by the way. Let's start with Jabba's eyes here. So in terms of someone, stealing my layouts, there were a couple of pieces back in the day when I was working in Dreamwave where, I made some designs. There was one in particular, and, it's one of those things I wish I could have showed you guys how it is. Like, I don't think I've ever had anything ripped off 100%, but it's one of those things where where they got that idea from. And I had the city that I designed. It was actually for a movie. We were doing some initial concept designs for a movie. It was actually a remake of a very old movie, 1920s Metropolis. I'm not sure if any of you have heard that movie. But we were doing a redesign of that movie. And then there was like a city above. And then I actually did a redesign of that future city above. Maybe I'll put it on my Instagram one of these days. But one day I opened a comic book, and then somebody had a city scene in there, like a futuristic city, and it looked pretty much exactly what I did for that city. Like, of course, it wasn't 100%. I don't think he traced it in any way, but you could tell that the city I had was a gigantic influence. Um, I'll tell you guys, like, one thing you learn, like back in the day, we used to have something called the swipe of the week, and I'm not sure if anyone does that anymore. It's when people look out for comic books and then they try to find if that person actually swiped that art, or if that was from another comic book, and they would actually do that every week. And I'm telling you, man, I've seen like gigantic artists, like very popular artists, and I know the source of where they got, we'll call it inspiration, because sometimes artists, we need inspiration. Like this Jabba the Hutt here I'm drawing, right? Of course I'm looking at pictures of Jabba the Hutt when I'm drawing this, but it's people who kind of steal one for one. You don't know if they traced it or not. It's one of those iffy type of things, and I've seen huge artists, I'm not going to name names, but I've seen huge artists who've done that, like gigantic artists who's done that. I've seen, like, for example, I've seen this one artist, I'm not going to name names, but there was this, he drew the Space Command Center, and it looked amazing. And then I Googled Space Command Center, and the first picture I brought up, it was exactly the same. Like, exactly, 1-to-1. Exactly the same. Now, he could have, he probably Googled the picture, and then looked at that, and then made it his own. And, there's always a fine line between that. There's a lot of controversy between that, which I really don't want to get into. But in terms of stealing somebody's art, like, that's probably it. I had people have done designs that look eerily similar to designs I've done before. And I'll be honest with you guys, the very first time I saw Pacific Rim, very first time I saw the ads for Pacific Rim, it looked eerily like stuff I did for Tokyo Storm Warning. Eerily similar. But then again, when I did Tokyo Storm Warning, it was what's it called? Of course, it was a homage to a lot of like Robotech and all this kind of stuff. So who am I to complain, right? But some of the designs in Pacific Rim, if you look at my Tokyo Storm Warning, you can see where I'm coming from. So at the very least, I think the designers had. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually had that comic book. Like, of course, they didn't copy 1-to-1, but it's eerily similar. Let's just say that, okay? Now, in terms of in terms of someone actually stealing physical art, let me tell you guys this story. As you guys know, I used to work for this company. It was called Dreamwave, and it wasn't too far from here. So we'd go to the studio and we worked there overnight. And one day, me and my buddy, we stayed there overnight. And I'll admit to you guys, my car is extremely messy back in the day. It was extremely messy back in the day. And we decided we were going to go for breakfast. Okay, this is around 7 o'clock in the morning. We were going to go for breakfast. And we get in the car, and I didn't think anything of it. But the first thing my buddy Eddie, he goes to me, "Hey, James, how come your door's open on the passenger's side?" And then I realized my car was broken into. But the thing was, my car was so messy, I didn't realize that it was broken into. I've cleaned up since then, yes. I've cleaned up since then. So my car was broken into. And I realized they stole a couple things. I had a digital camera in the arm. They stole that. And then I realized I had a package of original art. And I believe it was in the trunk. And it was gone. A whole portfolio of some of my best art in the trunk, and it was gone. You see, when you have something like that, when you have original art, if you compare like someone stealing a camera from you, or a cell phone, or like maybe not a cell phone, but like just say I had I don't know, something like that. So like importance like that, I'd rather they take that than original art, because original art you can't buy. Like, you made that art. Like, and you would have to do it again, type thing. But that's what happened. Now, I assume it was in there. Like, I'm not 100%. I don't know if it was actually in there or not. But I couldn't find it again afterwards. So I assumed someone went in there and stole the artwork. Now, it was never found on eBay. When it was found on eBay, and police, they don't do nothing, right? They're not going to really do anything about that. But that was one of the saddest moments of my life when I lost that artwork. So maybe I'll luck out. Maybe it's in my parents' house somewhere. Maybe after all these years. But I've never seen any of the art being sold. So they didn't sell the art. So I don't know. But that That's worse. That's worse to me than someone actually copying my artwork. You know, actually losing original art. So, oh, and most recently, I was looking at a game. Markiplier was playing a game. I think it's called the Tattletale. The Tattletale. And here, let me show you guys this. Let me show you guys this. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this. Okay, let me turn off this. Okay. You know what? This is so interesting. Let me see if I could actually get this on the OBS. Okay. Hold on here, because this is interesting. I want to show you guys something here, and I just saw this like literally a week ago. I saw this literally a week ago. Okay. Let's see here. Or let's see. It was a Markiplier's video, so let's see here. Tattletale, Markiplier. Here. Let me see if I could. I just want to make sure. This guy. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna call up the actual images here. Okay, hold on 1 second here, guys, and then I'll let you decide. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys decide. Just give me a second here, all right? Okay, this is gonna be fun. Okay, and then you know what? In the chat, I want you to tell me what you guys think about this. Okay, so let me see if I can find this. Find the original image here. Let's see here. I hope everyone's doing okay. This is gonna be fun because I'll be interested. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy here, but I do want to show you guys this. Okay. 1 second here. All right. Aha. Here we go. Here we go. All right. All right. Okay. Let me just clear my desktop here. Okay. I can clear my desktop here, and let me just add to the OBS here. Add. 1 second here, guys. 1 second. Just bear with me, my friends. Bear with me. Bear with me, my friends. Here we go. Add window capture. Okay. There you go. You see that? That is my design. Okay, this here right now is my design for a character for a show called Sanctuary. Okay, it was on the Sci-Fi Network quite a few years ago. I don't know if any of you heard of that show. It was on for a few seasons, and this is my design for a character called the Nubbins. The Nubbins. Okay, so I was working for this company called Anthem. We designed this. I actually modeled this right here. Okay, so let me just zoom in quickly. See if I could enlarge this a little bit. Okay, so there. So you guys see there. Okay, see they're cute, right? And if you can see these in action. So this was my design. Now, last week I was looking at Markiplier playing a game called Tattletale. Let me show you this image here. Look at this. Look at this image here. Look at it. Look at that image there. Now, maybe, it's maybe just a coincidence. Maybe just a coincidence. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. But, and then sometimes, of course, you'll be looking at something so long, and then you look at something like this, and you're like, So, it's one of those type of things. It's different enough, and, it's not worth pursuing anything, right? But, you see something like that everywhere. But let's be honest with you guys. Like a lot of concept artists, when they're trying to design, sometimes they have images in their head, and sometimes they looked at something before, and without realizing it, they'll create something similar, and that just happens sometimes. So, you know what I mean? It's just me. I don't know. So, I just wanted to show you guys that. So yeah, that's it. That's it. All right. So anyway, so that's it. I've had people steal my art, both physically and digitally. So, well, I won't even say digitally because I don't know for sure. I don't know 100% that they copied my artwork. So I can't, in all honesty, say that. So yeah. So there it is, guys. That's being an artist. So okay, let's go back to the questions here. Thank you for sitting through that, but I thought that was a fun story for you guys. So yeah. So let me hold on. I'm letting the chat refresh here. Let me just go look back of the chat here. You guys are laughing, which is great. Let's see. Let's hear very quick questions. Let me think here. Kai's asked, how many microns have you gone through with this art piece? Not as many as you would think, but like I have a whole box full of microns. Actually, it's empty now. Let me just see if I can show you guys. Quite a few, but I haven't been to the store to buy microns in a while. So, but quite a few. Let me show you guys this. This is fun. Wanted to show you guys something here. This in my hand, it looks like my camera box. It looks like my camera box, but if I go in here like this and I open it, I hope nobody replaced what's in here. Then it's a surprise. Full of Sharpies. Full of Sharpies. These are brand new Sharpies. I actually, I buy them by the bulk, and I throw them in. So there you go. Okay. So let's get back to work here. Let's get back to work. I'm having a little bit of fun here, guys. So let me go back to the chat here. I need to get working, guys. This is why I'm so behind here. Let's see here. Yeah. Let's see here. Sean asks, and Sean, I believe we've talked before, no? Can I commission you to draw a cool family photo? I believe didn't you message me on Facebook before, Sean? As of right now, I'm not taking any commissions right now. I'll let you know when that changes. But right now, all my focus is on getting this done. And like I said before to you guys, I might be doing a tiny bit of freelance work, just a little bit, okay, not too much, just a little bit. So as of right now, I can't do any commissions, but once I can, I will announce it from the top of a mountain, let you guys know that I'm available for commissions. But I will let you guys know, okay? Let's see here. George says not enough Sharpies. That's true. PJ says, where did you get all the Sharpies? I bought them from Staples. I don't think you got Staples. You have Office Depot in the States? We have a store called Staples here, so I buy the big box of them, right? So I just go out. So David wants to know, what's the blue pencil again? Again, this is a Pilot Color Eno lead. I've been meaning to do just like a materials video and then just put them on every single video of mine because, it is a common question. And, of course, I get new subscribers, so they don't know what I use. This is a Pilot Color Eno lead, and I use the light blue. And the only reason, again, I use it is because this is non-photographic, okay? Non-photographic blue. So that works for me. So I don't have to erase it anymore once it's down here. So usually if I had a regular pencil and then I went over ink, I would have to go and erase the pencils. I don't have to do that here. I just lay it down in the blue ink. Then I could just automatically scan it in. You won't see the blue lines. So we are good to go. Okay, so let me let's have a good question here so I can talk and I can get to work here. Let's see here. Quick question. Logan says that's how to get high quickly. Well, you guys are bringing back stories for me because long time ago I was in a studio. It was called Shock Studios. Okay, I'm trying to think if there was anyone there at the time who was famous, who would be a famous artist. I guess a guy named Ken Lashley. He was in there, in and out a lot. One guy, Christian Zanya, he did some stuff for Top Cow, but he was one of the leaders of the studio. My buddy Hugh Rockwood, and Marvin Mariano, who are, they're doing a bunch of stuff now. But I would go there, like this was a long time ago. I was like in high school back then. We would go to the studio and just go there to draw. And it's called, I would have these really, really thick markers, right? Like these, I would buy them. They were cheap. They were cheap, right? The thick markers, thicker than this, right? And they would smell. They would smell. And I would always ink with these markers. And every time an artist would come by, they'd be like, "Woo, James, you inking again?" They'd be like that. So that's how it was, right? So oh boy. Okay, so let me ask a real answer a really elaborate question. If you guys have any elaborate question. Okay, Teresa has an interesting question here. I don't know how much I could help, but she said, how would you suggest I further my clientele and further monetize my portraits? Teresa, I believe we've talked before. One main thing, and Jazza will back me up on this, of course you have to show your skill. And I would suggest to you, like I haven't seen your Instagram or anything like that. What I would do if I were you is I would do a lot of free work. And let me explain. When I say free work. First of all, stuff that you could use for advertising for yourself, okay? So when I say free work, it's not somebody coming to you, can you do this for me for free? No. I would say go to your friends, maybe. Go to your friends, go to your family, and maybe do a portrait of them for free, okay? Just to kind of build up your portfolio. Now, again, I don't know. Maybe you already have an elaborate portfolio already. But I think people will pay more once they see your skill. And I'm pretty sure that you are extremely skilled. I think I have seen your stuff before. Yeah, you'd have to forgive me. I think I have seen your stuff before. And for what I remember, you are extremely skilled. I would suggest... if you haven't done already, we'll try to do stuff that will try to get more eyeballs on your work. So if you aren't already, and if you want to get into portrait art, I would suggest get as much, do as many celebrity portraits as you can, and make sure they're as realistic as you can. That way, when people ask you for those, they know what they're getting. Okay, so people want to have and if you could get a few of those going viral, of course, that will help boost that kind of clientele for you. So at this point for you, I think it's more about advertising and doing it consistently. So I would say to you, at least once or twice a week, I would do that on your Instagram if you're not doing that already. Like do portraits of famous actors and actresses and all that, and then put them up on your portfolio, and that will help. That will help get your clientele in. Now, you probably already have an established clientele who is extremely happy. Do testimonials, but I think the more in demand you are, that's when your price will start to go up. Now, that's my suggestion. I've never been a portrait artist before, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about that. That's personally how I would go about something like that. I have we'll call him a mutual fan. I wouldn't say we're friends, but he's subscribed to me. I'm subscribed to him on Instagram. His name's Maasart, Maasart, and his artwork is phenomenal. And he puts up a celebrity, what's it called, a celebrity pick portrait every single day, and then over time he built that thousands and thousands of likes. So I would assume that a guy like that, with that much notoriety because of those work, he would be able to charge a bit more. But again, I don't know for sure because I'm not in the portrait game. But that's how it is. I'm not sure if you responded here. Let me see if you responded at all, so I can answer you better here. But yeah, PJ. Like I know Teresa's really skilled. I know that for sure. That's how I would do it. And again, people, and I'll admit to you, Teresa, people will pay what they're willing to pay at the end of the day. That all rhymed, and I didn't mean that to rhyme. But hold on, my camera moved here. But so you could try to increase your price, and see what happens. It's one of those things, like not dramatically increase it, but increase it and see what happens. For example, when I raised my commission prices for cons, and the only reason I did that was because my fellow artists at the same con, they had a certain price point, and I was way below them. So number one, first of all, I didn't want to undercut their price. But number two, if they were able to make that much money, okay, because mine was like at least half of what they were asking for. Mine was half. And I'm like, if they can make that much money, I believe that my stuff is probably worth that much money. So I don't know what you're charging for portraits right now. I'm not sure. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure exactly how much they would go for. Again, if that's the way to do it, that's the way I personally would do it. From what I remember of your stuff, you are extremely skilled. So just keep going and yeah. So I hope that helped a little bit. But again, it's kind of hard when I'm not really in the portrait business itself. Now I will admit to you guys, like I got more work of people asking me to draw them as superheroes right after I started doing these sort of celebrity type images. I got a lot of people at cons asking me if I could draw them as a superhero. So that worked out for me, and of course that was out of all the free stuff I was doing. So that would be my suggestion, Teresa. Of course, feel free to do it any way you want. That's what I suggest. But again, I'm not a portrait artist, so don't take it with a grain of salt. my answer to that. Okay. Hope that helped a little bit. Okay. Okay. Oh, your minimum has been about 125. Yeah, I can see that. How big is it? Full color or is it pencil, black and white? I say if it's full color, you could definitely charge more than that. If it's full color, I could tell you how much my stuff goes for, because it also depends on the size of the piece as well. So I don't know how big you are doing the portraits, or is it just digital? Because all that comes into play. So yeah, that's something like for 11 by 17. I'll let you guys know right now my current rates. For an 11 by 17 image, just one single character. So if someone came to me and said they wanted a portrait of themselves as a superhero, or even if they just wanted a picture of Batman, for 11 by 17 regular comic size paper, I would be charging around $150 fully inked. That is a standard for a published comic book artist. If you were not published, though, I wouldn't suggest charging that much if you were not published for a comic book artist. And again, that's black and white ink, right? Now, I have friends that if they do Copic market color for their commissions, they charge double that, right? So my buddy Alex Milne, who does Transformers, if they ask for a fully colored Transformer commission, full body, he would charge around $300, $400, $500 for it. So it all depends. It all depends on the audience. So that audience that you're probably doing, those probably aren't comic fans. Comic fans are willing to pay that much money for that kind of deal. So yeah. Okay, so I went off on that, but hopefully that helped some of you out. Okay, so right on. Let's see here. Okay, here's a good question, Art, which is kind of related. So hopefully this is good business advice for all of you guys. Have you tried freelancing? And if you haven't, is that something you would like to go into? Pretty much when you work in comic books, it is freelancing. So yeah, I've been working in freelancing for the first part of my professional career. When you are a comic book artist, there is no full-time jobs out there for comic book artists. There's just none, and that's not the way it works. You are a contractor, so you are a freelancer. So, and the thing with freelancing, there's two parts to the job, right? It's more than just actually doing good work. There's two parts to that job. It's actually doing the good work, and then the second part is advertising yourself and finding the work. Now, it's a little bit easier now than I won't say easier, but there's so many more avenues now than back in the day when I was doing it. Like, we're talking early 2000s when I was freelancing. But now we have all these avenues, like you could build an audience now. Like today, you could build an audience without even having a published comic book. You could do that. It's very simple. Well, I won't say simple, but it's possible. You could build a large audience without even having to work for Marvel, DC, or anything like that. It's building those worlds, building a fan base. I won't say it's simpler, but it's possible now. So back in those days, you didn't have that. So like when you were working on, it's literally like 3 days of the week you are doing the actual work for the job you're working on, and then the other 2 days you're looking for, like, the 2 days, like if you're working on Monday to Friday, the other 2 days you're looking for work. You're looking for clients. You're looking for people who will actually buy your work, and especially in comics, it's so hard. So, will I do freelance again? Because technically this isn't freelance. This is all my stuff. I'm just having fun doing stuff for myself. Will I do it again? Like I mentioned before, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, someone did offer, like a major publisher, asked me to do a comic book for them, to do a fill-in issue for them. I won't say who or for what, but I turned them down right away. But then it got me thinking about, is that something I want to do again? And if you asked me 6 months ago, or like even last week, I would have said no right away. However, I also thought, not just actually drawing the comic book, but I thought it would be cool if I did a comic book and then I was able to film it. And I would be able to show all you guys what it's like, getting the script, going through editor's notes, making changes, the actual grind it takes to making a comic book. I thought that would be great. So I was thinking more in terms of my channel than actually doing the comic book. So, but I don't know if that's a great reason to actually do a comic book. But also just to do it. Like, I haven't done it in a while. It's been 3 years since I last did a comic book. So it would be interesting. And I always said that this whole Star Wars piece would be a test to see if I could actually handle something like that. Right now I'm failing miserably, but but it's one of those type of things. So will I do the freelance again? Probably not. I'm like you guys know, I've told you guys before, I'm working on my own personal IP, and so I'm making something myself, and that's my ultimate goal. Though if I did do work for a major publisher, it could bring back that old audience that I used to have. So, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Next question. Here, 11:42. Trying to see how much work I did here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Here's an interesting question. I'll just answer this quickly because it's an interesting question. Leo YT says, how often do you do masterpieces like this? And once you're finished this one, would you think about doing Harry Potter? Wow. Here's the deal with that. First of all, I would love to do a Harry Potter one. I would love to do one. But here's the thing with that. This is probably my third gigantic mural. Okay? The first one was the very first one was the Transformers lithograph that I did way back in 2003. And then I actually did this mural, which is done in this size. I actually did it for my church. I did that a couple years ago. And that actually gave me the idea to do something like this. Okay? And then I was actually, we're thinking along the same lines. I was thinking Harry Potter. I was. But here's the deal with Harry Potter. Harry Potter has got to be like the hardest in terms of legalities. The hardest in terms of legalities. You have schools that do Harry Potter plays and are sued. Okay? Stuff like that, To do a Harry Potter fan art like this that would get this much notoriety, it could be dangerous. It could be dangerous the way J.K. Rowling's works. And, and she's very protective of her property. And, good on her. That it belongs to her. So, that's what scares me. It makes sense. It sounds like a great project to do after this one's done. If I'm able to find a way to, do it and still support my family, of course. But the legalities, that's what scares me. That's what really, really scares me. So, I don't know. But that's a great question because the reason I answered that was because I was actually thinking about that. So, let's get another question going here. Art of Talent 07 says, does being a comic book artist pay enough? At least enough to make a living? And how many sources of income would an artist need? That is a fantastic question. I go through all of that. If you go check out my YouTube channel, I have this video called How Much Does a Comic Book Artist Actually Make? And I actually run through page rates and how comic book artists make money. So I won't go through page rates right now. If you want to know page rates, you could go to that video and you could see. There are some artists who make really, really good money. There are some who do not. And there are some guys like me who are really struggling. And mainly because it's hard to find consistent work. Finding work is one thing. Finding work consistently, that's a whole another set of beans. It's a whole different story. So, Yeah, I just refer to that video because that video I explain all of that in high detail. I go about 20 minutes into it, so go check out that video. Okay. Um, let's see here. Uh, right now here. Sorry. I'm just trying to find a question that everyone can benefit from. Okay. Let's see here. Darius999 says, "Why don't you do a video with your art supplies?" Again, I will be doing one of those sooner than later, for sure. So look out for that, but probably not for a few weeks. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking for one that everyone can benefit from here. Okay, Brian has an interesting question here. I apologize, guy. Brian has a question here. Would you recommend someone keep a day job while working on a comic, or is that even possible with deadlines? It depends what it is. If it's a major publisher, I'll tell you, it's hard. It is hard. For me personally, and again, it all depends on how fast you work. For a guy like Todd Knock, for example, if you guys know Todd Knock, if you're not following him, please follow him. He's working on Deadpool, I believe, right now, and he has an amazing YouTube channel. So go check him out, Todd Knock, and tell him I would love to collab with him one of these days. But that dude's fast, super fast. He could do 2 pages a day like that, easy. It all depends on how fast you could do a page. It really does. You probably can't do a monthly book with both. Like if you're again, it's so many factors. It depends on your style. It depends on how fast you are. If you could finish a page in 4 hours, for example, just say if you could finish a page in 4 hours, then I think it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. If you can't, if you're like me, it takes me like at the minimum 6 hours to do a page. Minimum 6 hours, but it's mostly more 12 to 8 hours to do a page, mostly because of my style. Then it's not possible. So I know guys who have done that. Like, for example, if you check out my interview with Greg Land, he talks about a story because he had cancer at one point, and he had a day job at a printing press, and he was working for DC, so he was doing a DC comic at the time, and he was going in for chemo. It wasn't chemo, but treatments. He was going in for cancer treatments the week, and he said that was the hardest thing he's ever done. So go check out that interview. That's really interesting, but it's tough. It's tough, and especially if you're doing a comic, if that's what you want to do, you want it to be, you want that to be your focus. You do. You don't want to be sidetracked by anything, but of course, at the same time, we got to eat, right? So, is it possible? Yes, but it's tough. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Let's just say that. Okay. Let's see here. RG Art says, how to overcome art block? I would love to know the answer to that question. The person who can answer that question is going to be a millionaire. I'll tell you that right now. Whoever has that formula, because it's one of those things. Like, I suffer from it like every other day, right? And I know exactly what you're talking about. There's some days where you just don't want to draw, or or you get distracted and you should be doing it, but it just doesn't come to you at that time. That happens to me a lot too. So if I knew the answer to that, then I'd be a rich man. But with that being said, Doug Chiang, who designed a lot of the Star Wars, even now he's a major concept designer, producer for Star Wars, and he said what he does when he just doesn't want to draw, he'll just go ahead and start banging out bad drawings. He just force himself to draw, even if it's bad. And then he said eventually, some of the, over time, the good drawings will start to come out again. That's what he does. It's like a brute force type thing. So I know some guys who will tell you, why don't you go take a walk around the block? Don't do something like play video games, but go stretch, do something that gets the blood flowing again, and work. But there's no 100%. Everyone's completely different. So there's no great answer to that question that I know of. And honestly, if you guys find out the answer to that question, let me know. Okay, let me know, because I could use that help too. Okay, so Brian says, watching Todd McFarlane work live on his channel always blows me away. That guy's fast and detailed. Absolutely. Look, you know, those old, let's say image guys, but those old 80s, 90s Marvel guys, those guys were fast. Those guys were fast. They would do 2-3 pages a day easily. Even Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, back in the day when they were working for Marvel, they were super fast. It wasn't until they started doing their own company that they started to slow down, because there was no real editor. Because they owned the company, there was no editor over their shoulder saying, hey, this got to be done by this day. There wasn't anything like that, because they owned it. They owned it. So, yeah, so there's no surprise that McFarlane's as fast as he is. He's extremely talented, so. Oh, CG channeled. Oh, this is interesting. I'm answering this because I have experience with this. I tried GIMP. It does not reach the quality and vastness of Adobe. Adobe is the best product out there. Yeah, when I was working at a company called MPC, and we were working on Percy Jackson. I told you guys I worked on Percy Jackson, the first Percy Jackson movie, and the Lightning Thief. I was doing some concept design for them. They asked me to do some designing for them. And all they had was the GIMP. All they had was the GIMP. They wanted me to use the GIMP, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm like, dudes, I need Photoshop. I need Photoshop. So I had to wait till the texture artist went home, because I wasn't a texture artist. I was a 3D modeler at the time. So I had to wait till the texture modeler went home so I could use his computer to use the Photoshop. Other than that, I had to use the GIMP, and I was horrible at GIMP. I know people who are actually good at GIMP, but wasn't good for me, tell you that much. When I was working on at MGM, we were working on Stargate at the time. That was my very first VFX job, working on Stargate. And they wanted me to use a program called Paint Shop Pro. Have any of you heard of Paint Shop Pro? I think that's even out still. And it was okay for what it was. Like, I was able to do some things with it, but I told them at the end of the day, guys, give me Photoshop. I need Photoshop at the end of the day. So, at the GIMP. So, all right. So let me answer a few more questions here. So I could go for another, probably about half an hour, guys, and then I will have to go. I have someone's coming over to take a look at our kitchen. My wife's been wanting to renovate our kitchen forever, so someone's gonna check that out, right? So, yeah, Alex, Stargate. I worked on Stargate. You know the 2 DVD movies, Stargate: Arc of Truth and Stargate Continuum. I worked on both of those movies. So if you have those 2 direct-to-DVD movies, you'll see my name there in the credits in all its glory. That was my very first VFX job. So yeah. So I understand you, Brian. No worries. Let's see here. Lord Yamcha says, when will you draw Deathstroke? That's a good question. Well, yeah, it was a good question. Well, one of these days, I do want to draw Deathstroke. I am saddened by the news that Affleck's not directing the Batman anymore, which says a lot about what DC's doing right now, but we'll see. I'm hoping, at the same time, if he can't do it, maybe he could convince David Fincher to do it. Who he worked with on Gone Girl. But, that broke my heart last night when I heard that he wasn't directing Batman anymore. But, it is what it is at that time. Okay, Therese Place says, thinking of doing an art course in cartoon comic drawing. Would you say it's worth it? For yourself, here's the deal. Here's the deal with school, guys. And I think I mentioned this before. If you're thinking about going to school to learn art. Now, for me personally, the reason I went to school, I think I told you guys, I went to school twice. I went to school right out of high school. I took technical illustration, and then I went back in 2006 after doing some freelance, trying to make it as a comic book artist. I went back in 2006 to become a 3D artist. Okay, I took computer animation. The reason I went to school was because I'm not that disciplined. Okay, well, let me say that. I needed somebody to tell me you had to finish this work on time by this time to get it done. I needed that to learn. Okay, so there were a lot at that time, even though YouTube was just in its infancy, there was a lot of tutorials out there. There were a ton of tutorials out there, but for me to learn that on my own, it was tough. It was tough. So I needed someone to push me. That's why school was very valuable for me. Now, if you're not like me, if you're able to learn by yourself all these things, and there's so many avenues, whether it be YouTube, whether it be buying DVDs, um, you know, tutorials, all that kind of stuff. If you're disciplined that way and you want to be an artist itself, you don't need school. You don't. And that's coming from an art professor, okay? That's coming from an art professor. But it all depends on you. Is school valuable? Absolutely. It can be valuable. It can be. Is it absolutely necessary? Hey, when I was working at MGM, I had a friend there. He was a construction worker. Never went to school for art. Never. And he went home and he learned at nighttime. He learned how to do 3D effects at nighttime after his construction job. And then he was working with me at MGM. And right now, I believe he's working at, I would like to say Sony right now, Sony ImageWorks right now. So he's doing all the Spider-Man movies, all of that stuff right now. So it's possible. Okay, now that's up to you. And whenever you're applying for a visual effects job or a comic book job or any type of art job, right now, I'll guarantee, right now, there's not one studio that I know of that first thing they'll say is, where did you go to school? No. They look at your portfolio. At the end of the day, we're artists. They look at your portfolio. They want to know what kind of work you can do. That's the bottom line for them. It's not necessarily what school you go to. Of course, it could be nice topping, cherry on top. For example, if you had this really amazing portfolio and then you said you went to Ringling Brothers or you went to Cal Arts or you went to VFS in Vancouver, any of those type of schools, of course, that, you know, it will open some eyes, but it's the actual work. It's the actual work that will get you in. And that's what I'm telling my students right now. So it's not that you graduated, your diploma is not getting you your job. It's that demo reel at the end of the day. So make sure this demo reel is right. You paid a lot of money to be here. They did. They paid a ton of money to go to that school. They have to work, you know, they got to make sure their reel is right. You know? So that's, sorry, I went on a little rant there, but yeah, that's my opinion on school. It can be valuable. It can help. Not completely necessary if and only if you are disciplined enough to learn on your own. Okay? So, hope that helped a little bit. Hope that helped. Art of E Paradise said, when did I work on Splinter Cell Blacklist? I worked on that in 2013? 12. 2012, because 2013 I launched my YouTube channel. So 2012, that's when I worked on Splinter Cell Blacklist. Again, for those of you who didn't know, I was a storyboard artist on the cinematics team, but I also did some concept art as well, and did some motion graphics stuff as well for them. And yeah, that was me working on at Ubisoft. Let's see here. Let's see. Rosaku says, what did you think of Sheridan? Sheridan was fun. It was a good school. I enjoyed it there. My teachers were really knowledgeable and they helped quite a bit. So I couldn't complain. Now, remember that was 10 years ago. I can't believe that. 10 years. I have to let my classmates know. 10 years ago, we have to have a reunion. But 10 years ago, amazing. It was a lot of fun. The teachers were great. Back then, some of you might not know what we're talking about, though. They didn't have ZBrush yet. The teachers didn't know ZBrush at all. They didn't know any of the major modeling programs we have now. So I'm sure that's changed. Like, that's the one thing with a VFX program. They have to change with the times. They have to, or else, it quickly becomes obsolete after a while. And that's visual effects. It changes every single year. It changes. So every school has to update their curriculum. So that's another thing you have to look for in a school. Are they just using the same old curriculum, or are they up to date with what's coming out, the regular technology? For those of you getting into VFX now, does your school deal with VR? Because we know it's coming. It's going to be 10 years down the line, but it's coming. It would be nice if their curriculum had some sort of VR presence with them. That would help down the line. It would eventually. Even though we also know that the technology will change along the way. So that's definitely something to think about as well. So, okay. Oh, Alex says, "Did you always have your own style? I think I never found mine unless I imitate others, and I don't know what to do to change that." And Art of Daniel says, "Practice." Yeah, practice, practice. Um, I would say like my style came from me like I mentioned before. My style is an amalgam of a lot of artists that I love. You know, at the end of the day, style, the way you draw what makes you happy. At the end of the day, if you like what you see when you draw, just keep going that direction. Just keep going at it. Because I'll let you know right now, if my style was a little bit more cartoony, if I had a more cartoony-ish style, that plays a little bit better nowadays in the comic book land than a style like I'm doing. Now, there are artists like who draw like me right now, like a regular comic book style. There's a lot. In DC, there's a lot of guys who draw like my kind of David Finch, Jason Fabok type style. So I won't say that I'm the only one who does this style. Like a lot of people do this type of style. To find your own voice, it's a matter of keep drawing. You know, keep drawing. A lot of practice, a lot of drawing. You know, and trying different things. Just trying different things and see what you like. See what you like. Maybe you like something off this artist. Maybe you like something like this artist. It doesn't come overnight. And my style definitely hasn't come overnight. If you've seen some of my high school stuff, you'll see that I loved using darks, a lot of blacks back then, for sure. I loved using a lot of dark, you know, a lot of inks back then. So you could see like remnants of what my style is right now, but my style is still completely different, and that's came over time, over what I liked, and the way I draw right now, I like drawing like this. I like this style. Like it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I enjoy it. So yeah, just keep practicing, buddy. Keep practicing. Okay. Okay, so we'll go for probably another 30 minutes here, guys. So feel free to ask the questions here while my phone updates here. Let's see here. Oh, here you go. Malu says, oops, hold on. 1 second here, guys. Because that was a good question. Would it be Malu hopes for a better world? Me too, buddy. Me too. Would it be a problem if I tried to be a comic book artist without having gone to an art school in the U.S., but to one in Germany? If you're talking about comic book artists, buddy, doesn't matter. Does not matter at all. What matters is your portfolio. At the end of the day, like I mentioned before, that's the biggest thing. They don't care. I'll tell you right now, Marvel DC, they don't care if you went to school or not. A lot of the top artists right now, Marvel DC, they have never went to art school. Adam Hughes never went to art school. That was his running joke. He goes, I drove past an art school one. Looked expensive. Never stopped. That's what he said. He learned on his own. So you don't need art school. So it doesn't matter if you're in Germany or US. It doesn't really matter. What matters is your portfolio at the end of the day. I have friends who are very successful in comic art, and they live in the Philippines. They learned in the Philippines, and they trained in the Philippines, and they were able to get great work, do their work from there. And it's great making American money and living in the Philippines. Oh man, you're rich if you if you could do that, right? So it doesn't matter, buddy. It doesn't matter where you went to school. At the end of the day, it's all about your portfolio at the end of the day. So okay, let me go back to the chat here. Unholy Warrior likes my style. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Lord Yamaka asks, how do I draw from my mind and not copy others? That comes in time. It definitely does. And again, practice. The amount of time that you spend using, and when you say copy, I assume you meaning using other people's work for reference. Like you have their work there, and if you're copying, are you copying them one to one? Are you looking at them trying to repeat the exact same thing, or are you looking at them and you're saying, I like how he draws his leg. I like how he rendered, the lighting on this particular piece here. That kind of thing. And then try to incorporate that style into your own. That's totally fine. And in all honesty, if you're learning, it doesn't hurt to try to. We used to do that at school too. We called it copying an old master when we were trying to get better at painting. We would look at someone like an old master's painting, and we would try to recreate it. Painting it, try to paint it one for one, and it's a good learning tool. You don't use that to sell. You don't try to sell that afterwards. Though there are a lot of people on Instagram who do that, but at the same time, it's good to learn that way. So the amount of time that you do, say copying, the way you copy, that same amount of time I would also use in trying to practice drawing from your mind. Okay. Of course, it's great to draw your mind, mostly because of speed. If you could draw from your mind, you're not always relying on reference. It helps you get a lot faster. But at the same time, there's not a problem with looking at reference whenever you're drawing. I have no problem with that whatsoever. That's a double chin, man. This is like I'm looking in the mirror here. Alrighty. Next question. The JK Lay says, that looks great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Landre Edwards. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm trying to understand, CG Channel says, I'm trying to understand how you're rendering Jabba. You alter between line work and shading with Sharpies. How do I do it? Boredom? It's really boredom. I have an idea of the actual planes. I know how this will go in 3D. And I know how I want the light to affect it. Like right now, the lighting is kind of like going down like this. So I know where the light is catching. So I like going back and forth. Like a lot of people, like they like to do the liner and then do the thicker lines afterwards. It depends on my mood. Like right now, I know he's going to have a chin that goes like this. And again, I have a little bit of reference here that helps. Like looking at some stills of the movie and stuff like that. So I know that, for example, this chin, I want this to feel round. I want this to go round like that. So going back and forth, it kind of breaks up the monotony sometimes for me. And sometimes I want to see things a little bit more finished. That's why I go back and forth between the Sharpies. So there's no real rules for me when I do that. Say I have to do everything with the ink pen first. Nah, it's not how I like to work. I just, this, this makes it easier for me when I'm doing something like that. So speaking of which, let me just get some of these folds going in here. I want to really emphasize all this folds in the skin. I want to, the scaliness of his skin, or the wrinkliness of all his skin, and all of that, right? So, okay. So hopefully that helped a little bit, but it really is just a feeling, way I like to work. Let's see here. The Jake Clay asks, what editing software do you use? I use Adobe Premiere for the most part. I was using After Effects, but then I realized I didn't really need it. After a while, I could pretty much do everything I want in Premiere, but that's what I've always been using. So yeah, Premiere. Let's see here. Here we go. Malu says, another question. Could I get a job for like IDW Publishing by sending them messages from my home in Germany without actually going to the U.S.? Amazing work. By the way, fan says Armada. That's a long time ago. Thank you very much for being a fan since Armada. Absolutely. You absolutely can. Here's the deal. I'll be honest with you. If you're good, well, I'm going to say you're not good, but if you're good enough where the company feels you can make them money, they will contact you. Right? So if you message them and they like your work, they believe you that you could make the money, they're going to contact you, especially in today's day and age. It's a lot easier to contact editors than back in my day. So absolutely you could do that. Again, I got friends in the Philippines. They've never been to the States. They've never been to US Con, but they were able to get a hold of editors, or editors saw their work and thought that they could make them money at the end of the day, and that's what it is. Can your artwork sell a comic book? That's it for them at the end of the day. Doesn't matter where you live. So yeah. So it is possible, but your work has to be good. That's what it's got to be at the end of the day. So it is possible. So take that out of your mind as a limiting factor. Okay? Take that out of your mind as a limiting factor. Now, I won't lie to you, though, at the same time. People who goes to cons, and if you're not an annoying or bad person, you know what I mean? If you go to a con, you meet an editor, you're a cool guy, the editor likes you, of course that could get you ahead of someone, right? Of course it can, right? And that's just life. Friends of the boss, of course they're going to excel a little bit, more than someone who may be more talented, right? Because if you're a friend of the boss, they like you and they want to keep you around. Of course that could come into play. But at the end of the day, if an editor is looking for example, a fill-in, right, and that's probably the reason they would hire an unknown. If they are looking for a fill-in, somehow in your portfolio you were able to show that you would be able to handle, a monthly comic book, and you would be able to handle like doing work for them, and they believe that your work is going to help the book, and your work looks great, of course they're going to hire you. Okay, I suggest if you want to get into IDW especially, check out my interview with John Barber if you haven't seen that already, and he talks about what he looks for whenever he's looking at artists' portfolios and all that stuff. Really, really interesting. Really interesting interview there. So hopefully that helped. Okay. Let's see here. Greg says, I just bought Loomis Drawing the Head and Hands, and I love it. Yeah, that's a great book. That's a great book. I have enough money to buy another book around the same price. Which one do you recommend? Oh, I don't know. It depends on what you want to learn, man. Depends what you want to learn. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not much of an art book an art book tutorial type reader. Though I will suggest one of my favorite books growing up was Burton Hogarth's Dynamic Figure Drawing. I learned a lot from that book. Burton Hogarth's Dynamic Figure Drawing. That's an older book. If you want to draw comics, and also I've been out of the game a lot, so I don't know any of the recent books. So I don't feel comfortable giving you a proper answer to that question. But yeah, that's depends on how what you want to learn. So okay, so looking at the chat again here, Zoltan says, "Can you give you some tips on how to make a comic book? The actual process of making a comic book, like storytelling, all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. Here's a book you should get. Okay, and it could explain it way better than I can. Two books that really help me out if you want to learn how to draw comic books. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. As old as that book is, I learned so much from that book, even though some people dismiss it as a, like it's not a real art book. To me it is. So How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way and Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. That book won so many awards. That taught me so much about actual storytelling, the way the comic printed page works, and how it could draw emotion in people. Those would be two books I could recommend to you. But also at the same time, get started. That's another thing. Get started trying to storytell. Study not just comic books. Okay, study filmmakers. Learn how to make shot selection, stuff like that. Because it's like you're shooting a movie, right? Whenever you're drawing comic books, it's like you're shooting a movie. So all of that stuff comes into play. Everything the director does, all that comes into play for you too. So you got to think about all that kind of stuff. Okay, shot selection, the way panel flows from one another, all that stuff. But first things first, if you're not a writer, try to get your hands on a script. See if you can find one online that you can practice with. Okay. And just practice. Just like anything else. Practice. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Okay? Time is it here? So I can take a few more questions here. Ancient says he had the book in 5th grade. Awesome. Tiago says, this is a good question. Hello, congratulations for your work. Love your style, and I follow it. Thank you very much. I want to know, why don't you do digital drawings? Okay, why don't I have one of those massive Cintiqs? A couple reasons for that. I would love a Cintiq. I would love to have one, okay? But I never really had the reason for doing that. I'm a traditionalist. I love the feel of paper and pen, and mostly because of the original art factor. That's one thing that digital will never be able to do, is the fact that there is an original. There is an original. This Star Wars piece that I'm working on, could I have done this on the computer? Sure, I could have. But there wouldn't have been an original, one-of-a-kind piece of art at the end of the day. There wouldn't be one. There would be files. Now, I don't know if they could watermark the original file, but if you're like me, you save 10 versions of every file just to make sure you don't lose any information, right? You don't get that. You just don't get that with digital. You just don't. The fact that I can hold this original piece of art in my hands, that's something that's very, like, I don't know if something could ever replace that. I don't know. I highly doubt it. So that's why I keep doing it. Okay. And also, it's another income factor too. Like if you were working in comic books, guys, if you were working in comic books, the original art, selling original art is a big part of how you make money in comic books. Now, I do know comic book artists, like they work digital, right? But if they get a script and they see a page that they believe could sell, right? They probably sell for a lot of money. They would actually go and draw that one page traditionally, and the other pages, like for example, what if the page was the writer wants, okay, his hands were on the desk and he was writing this note, okay, and all you see was the hands, and all you see is hands for the whole page. Most likely, first of all, you could probably duplicate a lot of those hands, and secondly, you probably can't sell that page for that much just because it's just a page of hands, right? So it's one of those type of deals. So, but that's why I don't draw digitally as much. I love having original art. I love having it. I love holding it in my hand. So, have I done it before? Absolutely. I've done it for work. You have to, right? But for the most part, that's why I'm not doing that here. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. The Art of Daniel says, have you ever inked with a brush? I have, but a long time ago. I haven't done it recently. And to be honest, like with a brush, I'd rather use the nib. I'd rather use the ink nib than the brush, because the brush can be a little volatile sometimes. A lot of splashing can happen too, but the results you can't knock the results of a fully brushed inked page. You just can't. It's amazing, and it lasts longer than this. Like I'll guarantee over time, all of this marker will fade. It will fade. It will get lighter. It won't completely go away, but it will get lighter. But India ink, if you're able to do this in India ink, that will remain forever. It will always be like that forever. So you can't knock it. You can't knock it. So let's see here. Alex Church, can't pronounce your name, says, I like your style. Thanks for your tutorials. They really help me. I'm glad you liked them. Thank you very much. I've improved my style and gesture drawing for my comic book. Are you going to make a tutorial about landscapes? I believe I will. I think, because I have a few drawings that I didn't put backgrounds on. And people were asking, I would love to do a tutorial on how to do a background for comic books. I think that would be interesting, and that's something I could actually help you guys a lot with, because I actually, that's how I started my comic book career. I was just a background artist for Pat Lee. And I did nothing but backgrounds for, I think it was like 2 years. I did nothing but backgrounds for 2 years. So yeah, I think I could help you guys out with that. So we'll see. Okay. And thank you guys for answering each other's questions here. I appreciate that for sure. Awesome here. Let's see here. Alex says the original is the PSD. Yeah, that's true, but you don't have that ink paper drawing that you could hang on your wall. You could have printouts, but then everyone could have that printouts. There's only one Bristol board ink drawing in the world. That's mine. That was creepy. All right. Let's see. Okay, guys. I'll probably go for another 10 minutes. So now, now's a good time to ask your questions here. So while I don't want to overwork. Like I've been doing a lot of work on his face. Maybe I put too many lines, mainly because when you're far away from it, it might not read as well. So I might have to add like give a little bit more black and stuff. But we'll see here. Just to outline a few little things here and there. Because this is one of those things where, I need the black and white to read as well. As, of course, we're going to color it, like I mentioned before, but the black and white should read on its own. I had a comment on my video yesterday, I forgot who it was, said, just leave it in black and white. And I'll admit to you guys, a lot of people like my black and white work way more than my color work. And they've said that to me at cons, too. I met some of these guys at cons, and they said, you know what, I love seeing your black and white work. Your color work's good. The color work is great. But the black and white work, sometimes when you color, a lot of the stuff I did in black and white gets lost. So at the end of the day, there'll be both versions of this. There'll be the black and white version, and there'll be the color version of this particular piece here. So, okay, so let me go back here to the questions. Let's see here, live chat. Enishin says, when drawing mechs, do you use a proportional divider? I assume you mean, do I do something to make sure the proportions are right? The answer is no. I've done it so many times that it just kind of comes naturally to me now. I think that's what you mean. Okay. Mally says, I'm currently working on a comic book taking place in an existing universe. Could I still sell a few copies? It's an iffy, dude. It's very iffy. And I'll admit to you guys, like, I'm doing this artwork here with full intentions that I can't sell this thing. With full intentions that this thing will get enough notice where the big companies will notice, and I can't make any money off this. And that's totally fine with me. I knew that going in to drawing this. I'm only doing it because I love doing it, right? Now, could I eventually maybe even sell this art? I think that's legal. I could do that. But in terms of making prints or making books like that, no, you're walking the line there, dude. So if you were doing a story that's in an existing universe and you're trying to distribute it, you could face some trouble. Especially from a place like Disney. That could be trouble, man. That could be trouble. So careful. Watch yourself, man. Watch yourself. Might be something. Could you change it around so it's something completely new? Right? Could you change the characters? Can you turn it into something else? If you're that far along on it, could you change it into something else? So that's something I would consider if I were you. Okay? Let's see. Fernando says, in the Star Wars pieces that you're making, is there a plan for the placement of the ships that you put around the big characters' faces? Yes. Yes, and hopefully that you will see that when all these pieces are together. You'll see more of the plan once this Return of the Jedi piece is done, hopefully next week, when you see this done and you see how it connects to the other two that I've already done, so you could kind of see the layout. And especially when I start doing the bottom pieces, you'll see how I had envisioned the entire image all together. Okay, so just wait and see, my friend. Wait and see. Okay. CG Channel says, I was looking forward for the prints. Yeah, me too, buddy. Like, prints, selling prints online is one of the most iffiest things. I've known people who got shut down because they were selling prints. I know people who sell prints ad nauseum, and they're telling me it's okay. I don't know which way to go. Okay, and especially if something like this, something as big as this, gets as much notoriety as I think it's gonna get. I know Disney's going to notice, and if they notice, you can forget about me trying to sell prints of this thing online. You can forget about it. So, those of you wanting prints, hope for me to fail. But we'll see. If there's a possible way I could actually sell these as prints, I will. So just stay tuned. We'll work something out, okay? Even if I could even get some sort of licensing deal from Disney or something like that, we'll see. All right. Or if Disney wants to buy the rights to this piece and they're going to, and they're going to distribute it themselves, then yeah, maybe you could get it that way. We'll see. All right. Yes, Mike J's right. Big name artists, they legally can't. That's right. And it's weird because you see so many people selling prints online, especially on Instagram. They're selling prints. It's one of those type of deals, right? So, and yes, it's true. We get permission when we sell them at cons. There are a lot of people who don't, and they don't get caught. It's one of those type of deals. It's very iffy. It's a very iffy subject. So, let's see. David says, have you seen Mary Doodle's YouTube channel? I have. I have seen her channel. I'm subscribed to her, and I think she's great. She has a great style, right? She's say attached, right? She started with those the epic rap battle guys, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So Alex Oxy said, "Did you ever get scammed? I'm starting to get mails from online stores and small studios, but I'm not sure what I'm getting into. I haven't gotten. Let me think. I'm pretty sure. Have I gotten scammed? That's a good question. I'm trying to think. Because I would actually like to say yes, but I'm trying to remember. And it could have been that bad if I can't remember, right? um, not really. I would like to say not really to the point where I was like, actually scam. I do have some stories, but I only have 5 minutes left, and they would take way too long for me. So maybe for the next one, ask me that question again. Scammed. I have a couple of stories that weren't really scams. One, like it was way back when I was in high school. I could tell you guys about that. And then another one was I was actually working for an established company, and I did something wrong, and then something happened there. But I'll let you guys know that next stream, okay? Because I really only have about 5 minutes here, guys. So, uh, Kai says, "Wait, people sell fan art. Would that not be the same?" So that's the same thing. Like I've talked to many people. Like the original art, for some reason, is okay when you sell the originals. But if you were to sell prints and mass distribute it, there's a problem there. There's so many iffy things. I wish one company would just put it out, say you could do this, you could do this, you could do that, just so there's no black and white, just so people know, right? But there's not right now. So I don't know. I just don't know. So okay. Let me think. Marna says, "Do you think? Let's see. Marna says, "Do you think that if Disney sees your piece and they want to buy or maybe help you sell it?" I'm open. I'm open, or at the very least, if they even just share it on my Twitter, I'm happy. Look, I'll be honest, guys. This whole thing, for me, it's more. I just want to see if I could do it. If I could see if I could do it, and honestly, if I could get some of you guys to follow me along the way, even better, even better. So, at the end of the day, if I don't make any sort of money off this, I'm totally prepared for that. That's totally fine. And that was never the goal. That was never the goal of me doing this. This particular piece itself, right? If anything, I'm doing this more so you guys can watch me do it, and for myself to see if I could do it. That's the end goal for me. It's not about making money at this point. As you guys know, I don't even monetize my channel. You notice that? You don't see any ads. Now, there are some that I had ads on earlier, but I don't know if they're still on or not. I might have been too lazy to take them off, but you might notice any of my videos for the past year have not monetized at all, right? So, because I want to make sure that you guys are able to watch everything without having to click off these ads type thing. And I'll be honest, too. Even if I were to monetize it, it's not going to be a lot of money. A few pennies here and there. So, the only thing that I probably would have made a little bit of money on was that 10-second, 1-second challenge, whatever. But, yeah, whatever. I was happy a lot of people saw it. So, okay. Corey asks, "What's your favorite movie that you've worked on?" That's a great question. Let's see here. Not necessarily the actual movie itself. I thought the movie was okay. I would say Watchmen. I would like to say Watchmen. And I'll tell you why. It was my first job. Well, I won't say it was the best because it was my first job. It was probably the most memorable, and they treated me very well over there. They treated me really, really well over there. I was never stressed out or anything like that. They gave me a lot of time. They helped me out. They gave me a cake when I left the company. So that was a great place to work. I'm trying to think if there was a movie that stood out. See, what I'm thinking of, the movies I'm working on, that I worked on, it's not necessarily the movie itself. It's more... like if you're asking me, because I'm thinking about work experience, I'm not necessarily thinking about the movie. If I'm actually thinking about movie quality, let me think here. I think probably the best would be Invictus out of all of them, because a lot of them were like, I've worked on some real stinkers. I've worked on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I worked on that movie. I worked on Fantastic Four, like a lot of you guys know, right? So I worked on some real stinkers. Watchmen, I loved Watchmen. It was fun. And I worked on a lot of, I've seen a lot of the ones that they saved for the director's cut, and I was really sad that they took out a lot of that stuff. But glad they were in the director's cut. So Watchmen was a lot of fun to do. So, in terms of work experience, the best work experience I've had, I would say would be Invictus. So that would be a company called CIS. They're called Method Studios right now. Again, NPC the first time around, not the second time around. And that's a whole different story right there. I could tell you guys that later on. MGM was a lot of fun. I would say my latest company, Pixamundo, that was a lot of fun too. Of course, yeah, we did have late nights, but I think I clicked more with the actual workers there. So it was more because I made more friends there. I made more friends there than the other places, more than anything else. And I do visit those guys for lunch here now and again over there, and those guys are really good friends of mine. So my buddies at Pixamundo. So what did we work on there at Pixamundo? Like I said, Fantastic Four, Furious 7, what's called Marco Polo for Netflix, Season 2. That would be Season 2, and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The Sword of Destiny that just came out a few months ago. So yeah, that's pretty much what I worked on. Okay. So let me. Jax likes Fantastic Four. There you go. Okay, it's 12:30, guys. Let me answer one more good question, and that's it. One more good question, then I have to get going. All right. Oh, Greg wants me to monetize my channel. Maybe it's about time I start monetizing my channel. We'll see. Let me get that going. So, I'll tell you what. Fantastic Four. I don't think it's as bad as what people slamming it, but it's not the best movie out there. And I'll tell you, I wasn't happy with Doctor Doom the way he looked. I'll tell you, when I first got the first images, because we did effects on Doctor Doom, not me myself, but I saw some of the first footage for Doctor Doom when it came into the studio, and me being a lifelong comic fan, it's like I'm hoping they're asking us to change this completely. That's what I told them. Are they going to change this completely? Because I did not like the look of them. I did not. And they're like, no, we're gonna do things that glows. They did fix them up a little bit better than what the footage we got, but it's not what I had envisioned. Let's just say that, right? So, it is what it is at the time. So, oh, my buddy Keith's online. How you doing, bro? How you doing? Will I be visiting Vancouver again? We'll see. If I do go visit there, it will be for a convention, and which would mean probably at the end of the year. So I am looking at doing Canadian cons this year after all of this is done. So maybe I'll come and visit you. I'll come see you in November. We'll see. I'll let you know, buddy. Okay. Good luck with your 3D, by the way, my friend. Okay. All right. So if there's any more last minute questions, but you know what? That's it. I've been going on for an hour and a half. So, and I'm gonna leave this as is on YouTube. I just don't have the time to edit this down at the same time. So, I want to thank you guys for following along. As you tell, this took me an hour and a half. So, as you know, it's more because I'm talking with you guys. So, this is more a chance for me to chill with you guys and hang out for the most part. But thank you guys for following along. I really do appreciate that. So, thank you guys for being here online. I don't know how many are online right now, but thank you guys for that. I really do appreciate that. Please continue following along on all my social media, all that jazz. I'll be live again on Thursday, and then I will be doing another challenge. Let me run that by you guys. I'm thinking about doing one of those gender swaps. Gender swaps. So take a character, and I'll take a character and turn it. If it was a male character, I'll turn it into a female character, or vice versa. I'm thinking about doing that. So if you guys think that would be an interesting idea, let me know. Tweet me, or maybe if you know right now, let me know right now if you think that would be an interesting idea, and if so, what would you think I could do? Which character would you like me to see me do? Maybe I could do a couple characters. I'll change them from a girl into a guy or a guy into a girl type thing, vice versa. Let me know. I'll just take a second because I know the chat refreshes. But I'm thinking either doing that or I could do the cheap art supply challenge. But I think I want to do more of a character design thing on Thursday. So let me see. GC channel likes the gender swap. That's good. So yeah. Okay. Well, why don't you guys right now? Why don't you guys give me a suggestion right now? Okay, I do have to get going. But right now, give me suggestions of characters, and I'll put a poll on Twitter, and you guys let me know which character you would like me to do, okay? So, Okay, so we got one for John Constantine. Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt's into a girl. I have a feeling Jabba would look exactly the same if he was a girl, right? No? He would look exactly the same. I would probably draw Jabba and then put lipstick on him or something like that. Han Solo, Spawn. That's, you know what? Let me write this down. I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna forget all this stuff. So let me make a little note here. Okay, so you guys let me know. Okay, so, all right. Let me just get my keyboard out here. So let me write Han Solo. Let's see. We got Han Solo. We got Spawn. John Constantine. We have Catwoman. I saw that. Okay. Dr. Manhattan. We want this. It's not the movie one, right? We want this to be PG, okay? If I turn Dr. Manhattan into a woman, gotta be careful, man. Manhattan. Tracer from Overwatch. That's a good one. Moon Knight. Black Canary. C-3PO. Jabba and Slave Leia. Why am I typing this? I should just copy the chat, right? Dr. Doom? Yeah, Dr. Doom. Iron Fist. Gender swapping YouTubers. I think I would need a little bit more time to prepare. I think I would be hesitant to do that live. Mainly because it's got to look like the YouTubers. But that's a fantastic idea. Gender swapping. Oh man, gender swapping YouTuber like PewDiePie, Phil DeFranco, iJustine, or Grace Helbig, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Let's see, Reinhardt. Well, you know what? I'll just copy the chat because you guys are going for it. Okay, so I'll tell you guys what. Give me your ideas. Okay, give me your ideas. Here, I'm going to copy them over. I'm going to pick some of my favorites, and I'm going to put it in a poll. Okay, put it in a Twitter poll, and maybe I'll take 1, 2, or 3, and we'll do some gender swapping for that. Okay, why don't we do that? So, by all means, please do let me know. Mark Grilly has a girl. Oh boy. Also I want to make sure that everyone's cool with that. Not saying that Mark wouldn't be cool with that, but I want to make sure if I gender swap somebody, they'll be cool with that. So maybe not for the first one, a YouTuber, though that is a fantastic idea. That is funny. That is hilarious. So Jazz, I think Jazz would be fine with it. Did you see that one where he was showing how to draw girls and that avatar he had at the end? My people want to see me as a girl, right? Oh, that'd be a scary looking girl. I'll tell you that much. Casey Neistat. Because I'll admit to you guys, if I were to do a YouTuber, they would probably look exactly the same, but I put them in a dress or something like that. You know what I mean? So okay, I have to get going, guys. So please do put those comments in the chat right now, and I will copy that over. So I want to thank you guys again for following along and for asking all your questions. Here's the Jabba the Hutt I had right now. So hopefully, just do send those positive well wishes on the way. I'm hoping to get this done by Monday. We'll see. But thank you guys for following along. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's online. And if you're available, I will see you on Thursday. Just put this up here. So thank you again, everybody. And yeah, we'll end it off right there. My name is James. I'm the box office artist. Thank you guys for following along and for everything. You guys are the best. And I'll see all of you guys next time. Subscribe!